Men are the prize podcast. You are here and welcome. And I'm an atheist, so I'm not going to say blessed, but I am lucky to have another person from my current favorite podcast. And I won't talk about the name yet because we'll do that at the end, but welcome Jeremy Bryant to the pod. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here finally.
I'm glad to have you. This is good. And I think we're going to have one more of the guys from our pod. So I will get the trifecta. We'll get
God
all the
help you.
guys from the pod on this. And I think it'll be good. And you guys are a good cross section of men. So I think it's going to work out. So I like this idea. So before we get started, as usual, I remind everyone that I am an expert in one thing, and that is being me. Nothing else. This podcast is an opportunity for men to talk vulnerability, discuss issues, things that are going on in the world in a safe space so that you don't feel like you're being judged or anything. We don't do anything of that. But this is just a conversation. If this podcast in any way leads to any breakthrough, anything you feel you need to talk about, I would want you to find somebody who's trained to do it, somebody who can help you through any issues, any communication, anything that you want. I'm not trained to do that. So I can't diagnose, I can't do anything. But what I can do is hopefully give you the outlet to release anything that you feel like talking about. And hopefully you find somebody who can be there for you. So I hope you enjoy. But if it leads you to getting some help or talking to somebody, then I consider it a success. And with that, let's get into the prize. Jeremy, you ready to get started?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. So I start with everybody with this. You sent me a bio. Everybody's heard it already. But if you could give me kind of a strip down, if you could give me a bio about you, a quick 30-second bio about you, could you do it?
I think so.
Let's do it.
I'm 33, almost 34 years old. I'm a stepdad of two for the last almost 4 years. And I just basically work, live, and game. That's all there is to it.
Sounds
And
good.
trying to get
That's
my name
you.
out there. Trying to get my
I
name out
hear you.
there.
All right, cool. And I'm hopefully I can help you with that. And from this, we begin. If you've heard this before, if you've heard the podcast before, you know what this is. If not, this mantra, this thing I kind of put together, it is my favorite word, and the word is prize. I took that word, 5 letters, and broke it down, and 4 of the letters represent characteristics of being the man, and the I represents what you are after we've covered the 4 letters. The first letter in the word prize is P. The word is purpose, defined as reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So, Jeremy, what's your purpose?
Yeah, that's something I've been asking myself for the last 25 years or so. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of found a purpose in being a stepfather to two kids that was never a plan, but life happens and you just deal with it. And hey, I always wanted to be a dad, and this is one way of doing it.
That's good. I hear you. So, I am a stepfather also, and I find it it's enjoyable. It's challenging, probably the same as challenges just being, I guess a biological father, but there's challenges in everything that we do. What, give me an example. Give me something about being a stepfather that you find challenging.
Oh God. Yeah, that list is endless. But I mean,
Mhm.
they both accept me as their real dad anyway. I get called dad. I don't get called Jeremy anymore. I haven't in years. But I mean, the most challenging part is when you disagree with the mother on how to raise them, and she straight up can say they're my kids.
Mm, I hear you.
Not in
Quick
front of
question.
them, not in front of them, but like just later on.
Right. Understood. I understood. Quick question. Do you have any biological children?
Not that I know of. It's always possible, but not that I know of yet.
Not that you know
And
of. Okay.
I want,
Okay.
I want at least one of my own someday, but
Okay.
see what the future holds.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that if there's a difference because I have biological children and I'm a stepfather. And and you'll definitely have kids of your own and you'll see there's a difference and it's subtle and just how you deal because that's not something mom can say to you if those are your biological kids. And hopefully that's not something you ever have to deal with. But it's an interesting dynamic when you can kind of look at the kids and it's just a little bit something different, a little bit
Oh yeah,
different.
the connections are a little bit different. I mean,
Yeah,
I assume.
yeah, and no, you're right, and it's yeah, and as a stepfather, I know it's challenging for me too, but I just try to put that stuff to the side because in the end, we're the adults in the situation, and we have to handle it the right way. So,
Yep.
do you take? Do you remember the first time you were called dad?
Well, yes, actually, with both kids, it was separate times because the youngest one, the 4-year-old, the girl, she would, as soon as she learned to talk, she started saying dead at me basically because I was in her life from a young age while she was still in the crib, I didn't able to talk really.
Right.
But I mean, the son, the 7-year-old, I don't remember we were sitting in her bedroom and I just remember he asked me something and then he just said dad and I like did like a double take. I was like, what'd you say? Like, because he used to always just call because his name's Jeremy too, actually, and he used to always call me Big Jeremy.
Okay, I like that. Do you remember how you felt? I mean, obviously you were surprised to hear it, but do you
Oh,
remember how you felt?
my heart just started melting. Like it was just like I mean, I already felt like that anyway, but I mean,
Right.
it's it's just like it was like a it was like putting the final piece in the puzzle. Like that's all it was. Like putting the final piece in the puzzle and just having that. Like yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So you said your purpose, so I guess, is really being a stepfather.
I
What it
always knew I was meant to be a father of some kind. I never. I mean, I assumed my own kids first always, but I mean, you never know how fate's gonna come out for you. So
okay.
you roll with fate.
Okay. Are you a good father?
I like to think I am, but I mean, I think every father in the world basically has thought that, at least 80% of them. So, I mean, I have my moments of weakness where I get angrier than I should, or I react in ways I shouldn't react, but I'm only human like everybody else. I can't control everything.
Okay. Did you have dad growing up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, actually, that's a funny story because the man that was married to my mother that I knew as my father, I never questioned it until I got older because we never looked alike, but he was unable to have kids because he had cancer at 17 and the radiation killed his soldiers.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I my mom when they were going through a divorce told me and my brother that she's something she had to tell us, but she didn't know if she should. And I started guessing like random things like my brother's not my brother really. That's the one I was kind of hoping for. But I mean I mean not anymore, but obviously. But but basically the third thing I guessed was dad's not a real dad. And her eyes just widened. She's like, how did you guess that? And I'm like, because we look nothing alike. We never did. And like, so basically years later, like 4, 5 years, actually like 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, I did an ancestry thing for Christmas. And long story short, I am now connected with well, I know who my bio dad is. We don't really talk, but I mean, we're open to talking, both of us, but we just really have nothing to say to each other.
Okay.
But I mean, I know who he is. I've seen pictures, and I now have about 10 to 15 half sisters, half brothers.
Wow. He was
The
busy.
he was a medical student in Albany actually,
Okay.
and he donated fluids to pay for college.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
So I mean, he there's 10 to 15 out there, and they estimate it could be anywhere up to 300, 400 if they really.
Jesus.
It's a lucrative business.
Okay. So your purpose is, being a father, and clearly you're being a father now. Is there anything that you learned from the father you had growing up that defines how you are as a father now?
I mean, yeah, I mean, he passed away back in 2017, actually. at the age of 58 because of the cancer, radiation.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't come back from a heart surgery because the sac around his heart was destroyed from the radiation all those years ago, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but I learned from him basically everything. Most of what I do as a father, I learned from him. I mean, he has short temper, which I definitely picked that up from him. But I mean, he was always loving and there, and always the type of father that if you wanted a hug, if you wanted to go cuddle in bed and watch King of the Hill or Family Guy, he'd watch it with you. Like he'd lay there with you, with his arm around you, and just he was always there when you wanted love. He would always show you the love you wanted. So that's the same thing I want to do.
That's good. Not everybody has that. So
No,
the
I
fact that
got very lucky with parents.
that's good. That's good. Especially a father. Being close and an intimate kind of relationship with a father is sadly is not typical. So the fact that you're able to have that and then pass it down to your kids, that's a good thing. So I applaud you. Being a good father, it's not hard. It's just something you have to put time in. And when you want to be a good father, you will be. I can tell just by hearing you talk about your kids that you're a good one. So I knew there's a reason I liked you. Yeah. So.
Just one?
If I had to pick one, it's that. I like seeing other good dads. I consider myself a good one. So I find
It's not my,
another one.
it's not my love for Will Smith. I know that. So
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know who that guy is. I think that's the first time his name has been mentioned on this podcast. And no, Freddie probably mentioned him too, but I just blocked that out because that's just the way to go. So I got you. So we got your purpose done. Now, the next letter in this word is R, and that stands for resilience. Resilience is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. So, can you think of a particular situation where your resilience was tested, or maybe it was, or you discovered your resilience?
yeah, I actually have been trying to think of this one a lot since listening to your podcast
Mm-hmm.
when I plan on being on it. But I mean, I my resilience was my whole life basically just, always being the big kid, the heavy kid. I was always chunky, even as a little kid, and through the years, it just progressed and progressed and got worse. I mean, I grew up down the street from a little general store that sold candy for like 75 cents a bar. So, I mean, and they also sold like sandwiches and stuff. So, I, whenever I would take money out of the lunch money jar for school and just go down there and buy like 5, 6 candy bars, eat them on my way home, and hide it all, as many kids will do. But I didn't have the metabolism a lot of kids will have, and I just put on the pounds. So basically, I mean, just the whole life of that and the bullying that occurs in school and around the neighborhood from being that kid, from being the truffle from the Goonies or being the freaking I can't think of any other fat kid references at the moment, but but I mean, just from being that, like, just having to be resilient because you're the one who gets made fun of. As you get older, you're the one that none of the girls in the neighborhood get interested in because of how you look and because you develop personality traits to try to deal with being put down like that all the time. And you just do stupid stuff to try to get attention because no one wants to pay you attention, at least friend wise. But I mean, it's just that's my resilience mainly came from that. And then just from years of trying to deal with that.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. So, I imagine growing up, confidence was probably a struggle for you growing up.
Actually, that's the ironic part is I had the confidence and I used to just straight up walk out in my living room for my mom and like my boxers straight up like for bed and singing I'm too sexy for my shirt. Like I had my mom always said like when I was younger that she wished she had my self-esteem and my confidence in my body because she like wish she had it for herself. I mean, it's just that was part of the problem was I had too much confidence and that's why she never changed.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Where'd that come from?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, maybe just a mental like guard put up to try to stop myself from feeling bad, or I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watched the basic '90s stuff every kid did back then, and none of it really taught you to be proud of your body. Like
Right.
not exactly really. I mean, but so I mean, I don't know. I really think it was just a mental guard put up by my brain to keep me from feeling.
Right. I don't think those movies taught men how to be proud of their bodies. I
Besides
think
heavyweights, heavyweights, I'll
besides
give that too.
exactly, but I think we're such a superficial society
Hmm.
that I think innately in film and TV, songs, whatever, we I don't know, maybe pride is the wrong word for girls to be proud of themselves or what they can be to be proud of their bodies. Guys, I don't think we didn't get that. It's just, either you're some muscle bound or you're the captain of the football team or something, but there was no, you look overweight, but you're still awesome. That type of stuff didn't really happen. At least I never felt that.
Everything we had was either like the only thing you saw on TV was or in movies was Zach Morrison or the freaking all the guys on Seventh Heaven and Charmed and all those types of shows in the 90s that would just show like the hot guys and like supposedly hot guys, like what every girl wants and like the Kens of the world, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
that and that's what you think like it needs to be or you're not going to be anywhere in life.
Right.
And parents back then pushed it on you too because they didn't know any better.
Yep. That's true. That's a good point. I think we don't really realize that we are products. We really are products of our parents. We are products of their trauma, and then they pass it down because that's all they know. So they don't know how to motivate and how to positively affirm a child. So a lot. That's why I asked you about where you got your confidence from, because a lot of times we don't get it from who we should get it from. Sometimes we have to create it, or it just kind of comes to us, and it's kind of a life-saving thing, something we need to maintain. And just am talking to you on our podcast, and you have a confidence, you're comfortable with yourself, which I appreciate. I think you're hilarious. You just say whatever. I haven't always been that. I don't think I really have that yet. And I have different issues because I'm black male, so I have different confidence issues I have going on. But I think men in general, there's always something kind of pulling at us for us to really be ourselves.
Yep.
But not you. But I feel like you are generally you. I feel like from like the first time we tried to record, I got who you were talking to you.
I
And
put
I don't
I
know.
after that many years, man, you just put it on the line and you just say, if you got a problem with me, just go fuck yourself. Like
Hey, I mean,
I have barely any friends in life because of this attitude, but
mm,
I have no regrets. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you just gotta be you, otherwise, what's the point of living?
exactly, exactly. And only your true friends would appreciate you for who you are. So if other people didn't, then hey, like
Oh,
you said, welcome.
I've had a few true and good over the years, but they come far and in between. But
I hear that.
when they come, it's a good time always.
I hear you. We stick with them. And as we continue, the next letter in the word prize is I, but that's the last letter for this. We skip it and we go to my favorite word in the word prize. It starts with Z. The word is zeal. It is defined, and I love this, as enthusiastic devotion. So, what are you enthusiastically devoted
Ooh.
to?
I mean, you already know mostly the answer to this question. I know you do, but I mean,
Yeah, but the listeners don't know, so you got to
no,
tell them.
I
Let
know.
them know.
I plan on it. I mean, I have always been passionate about TV and movies. I mean, I since I was a kid, that's just something I always was drawn to, being friendless and most of the time not wanting anybody to hang out. No one wanted to hang out or do anything. I mean, I had my wrestling friends, but they weren't always around. So, I mean, yeah, I'd have to go just sit in my living room and watch movies and TV by myself because I wasn't like a full-on gamer back then. Like, because back then you played games for a little bit and you got bored of the same games. But I mean, so TV and games, TVs, movies have always been it. Video games, somewhat. I mean, but as I got older, I got into more paranormal stuff, more unexplained mysteries type stuff. I got into mythology, and because of paranormal, I got into mythology kind of, and then that stuff always intrigued me.
Okay.
So, I mean, all that stuff put together, that's basically what I'm trying to base my life around now, so I can actually do something that I enjoy doing.
All right. So you watched a lot of TV, a lot of movies growing up. Are there any, can you think of like one or two TV characters or movie characters that you feel like you took a lot of characteristics from? Is there
Oh
anybody?
God, yes, yes. Because from the time I was in like sixth, seventh grade till today, still people just tell me all the time, "You are Cartman in a real human body."
You automatically are my wife's favorite person. She loves South Park. She loves Cartman. If you two ever meet, you guys will connect immediately. But
And I
that's
mean,
good.
I always looked like him. Well, not maybe not that
No,
drawn
you
out.
don't, stop it. You don't look like Cartman.
No, no, I
Nobody
mean, well,
looks like Cartman.
when I was shorter, it wasn't that far off, man. Trust me. When I
Right.
was a kid before I hit my spurt, it was definitely like that. But I was a wide kid. But it just between him and then, I mean, I maybe Al Bundy or Homer Simpson too.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
All right.
my attitude towards the opposite gender is a lot like Al Bundy, kind of. But as bad or good as that may be, it's just the way it goes.
Well, that's good. That's good. I see there's a trend. I mean, I kind of figured you would say Peter Griffin too. I thought you were going to get there.
I no, because I don't think I've never been really identified him because I am 10 times. I mean, I'm more intelligent than he'd ever be. Like
Definitely.
you got to remember, he technically is has mental retardation issues. He technically does. They actually
Clearly,
proved it. They proved it in an episode. So yeah,
but he can. But damn it, he can sing. I'll give him that much. I.
yeah. So can the dog and the baby, but
Yeah. So I like that. So we hit Zeal. I had a question. What was I thinking? Okay. So was there any character that you saw growing up that you wanted to be like?
um, I mean Archie Bunker for a little while. Like
Really?
I, my grandparents used to put on VHS tapes of All in the Family and Three's Company when we would stay at their house every Saturday night. Like for like 15 years, we stayed at their house every Saturday night, so my parents could go out drinking with their friends or go to dinner or whatever, or just have nights
Gotcha.
away from the kids because you. I'm sure you know that's a blessed thing to have once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
so my grandparents used to record RG All in the Family and
Right.
Three's Company, and not realizing that we got the Three's Company jokes that we shouldn't have at that age. So they just gave, but I actually wanted to be Jack from Three's Company too. Like his life looked just the most fun thing in the world to be. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a bunch of old school like TV characters from the 60s and 70s. I mean, I wanted to be George Jefferson too, rich and having a maid to tell what to do.
that's the maid who never listened to him either. That's
Oh
the way it
yeah.
would end. Yeah.
But I mean,
I,
just back then, everything looked perfect on TV. It looked like perfect little happy families, and like they were most of the time really unrealistic. There was a few times where they actually stuck to what really happens in life.
Mhm. Archie Bunker is an interesting character. Archie Bunker was, and I don't think you could even get a character like him now. The kind of
It's hard.
racist but lovable guy, which is it's interesting. Um, I don't know. I don't know if you could do that now. Not to the level that he was, because he was just blatant with it, but almost it was almost acceptable because it seemed like he really didn't understand why or whatever he said was that bad.
Well, it's like when they do the in front of a live studio audience things now, where
Right.
they redo them. Like Norman Learstrip says, we cannot that these we're going to say certain words here that we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't we that we most people won't say on TV now, but we're trying to hold up the authenticity of this timed television show
Mm-hmm.
that was
Yeah.
good, very popular in its time, but and today it would be cancel culture so fast you would never even see it coming.
Yep. Yep.
Before it
You're
even
right.
got made, it'd be cancel cultured.
Yep. You're right. You're right. And it's too bad because to me, in terms of television, he is probably the greatest. He's definitely the greatest TV character, I think, of the 70s slash 80s. I've thought about that. That I feel like every decade has one signature character that kind of covers it. And I love TV like you. I'm just older than you. So there's more people for me. But I think every decade has one or two that is just amazing. And he was amazing because he was bad yet good. I don't know, he was leveled.
But
Well done.
it brought about everything we do today for TV,
Yeah.
and from then to now, it brought out so many. George Jefferson wouldn't have existed without him.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a spinoff. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, like just he gave. I mean, whether they meant to or not, they gave different races of actors like a way to get out there and get their name known.
oh yeah.
Whether he
By
meant to
far.
or not, I mean, I don't know if he was really racist in real life. I kind of doubt it, but I don't know.
No, Norman Lear, who wrote That's All in the Family, is him, the Jeffersons. He did I think he
Every
did Good
show in the
Times too.
70s.
Yeah, and anything really good, he had a hand in. So I don't know. Yeah, there's no way to go with that. I feel I've been trying to figure is how we would be able to navigate a show like that. We're at the point now where they wouldn't even bother putting it out there, which is
I
the worst part.
The closest you can get is the reiteration of the Wonder Years because it's racism from a black view.
It's interesting, and I grew up loving The Wonder Years. It's one of my favorite shows,
Me too,
and
yeah.
it's weird. I loved it, and I've watched this season. It's not the same for me.
Oh God, no. I mean, it's not, but
It's different, and I understand what they're doing. Different perspective. I, I just feel like they're trying a little too hard, so it's not the same thing. I connected with oh my god with that show. I loved Winnie Cooper. I had the crush like everybody else did. It's I don't know. It's interesting. What I was getting at is how TV has a way. Is there last question for this? Is there a father on TV that you watched growing up that like the father you kind of wished you not that you had a bad father, but was there a father that you saw on TV that you're like, wow, that guy's amazing. I kind of want that guy.
I mean, uh, well, I mean, kind of in a way. I always kind of wanted like not exactly as a father, but I mean, he wasn't a father, but I wouldn't mind having him as my father. Is like Uncle Jesse from Full House, or even Uncle Joey. They both seem like they'd be amazing fathers.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, I mean, I always said the dad from the nanny because I wanted to be rich like that.
Mm, okay. 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 I
I
see you.
mean,
I see you. We move on from zeal to the last letter in the spelling of prize in the word. And the letter is E. The word is expectation. Expectation. A strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So with this word, I ask this: what do you expect for yourself in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years?
well, I mean, for 1 year, that's pretty simple because it's something I think about. I've been thinking about every day for like the last 2 years, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is because right now I work for an international merchandising company, retail merchandising company called Acosta. Um, it's all over the United States, all over the world. They're actually based at Jacksonville, Florida. But I mean, so I've been working for them for almost 2 years now. I I got I got promoted once, and then that whole division I was in got canceled basically. So I got moved to another division, and so I kind of lost my promotion. But in a year, I want to be a manager, or I have to start thinking of other things. In a year, I have to be a manager. Otherwise, I will be looking for either another job where I'm already a manager going in, or some kind of higher up, or I'll be, I don't know, maybe continuing education or something.
Okay.
And in 1 year, 5 years, oh, God, yeah, I mean, 5 years, definitely want to be married by then to the girl I'm with now. Want to be married to her by then, no matter what. And I mean, hopefully, maybe even by 1 year, who knows? But we'll see how things progress. But I
Okay.
mean, in 5 years, I want to work on the house I just bought back in November and build it out so we have more space and just improve upon it a lot by then. So it's almost like a dream house. I mean, though it ain't no mansion from Bel Air like in Fresh Prince. I mean, that's what I wanted always, but I'm not gonna get that. I know that nowadays, no, without an issue. So, but I'm gonna try to build it out and make it what I want it to be. Hopefully by then, maybe have a bio kit of my own, along with helping these two get where they need to be by then, which I do every day basically. So, and then in 10 years, God, I mean, I'd love to still be with Acosta, and I'd love to be a huge higher up manager who is the head of a whole part of the United States or something, is the East Coast manager or East Northeast manager, or whatever you want to call, whatever they're called. I'd like to be. I'd like to see Jeremy be in college by then, out of my house, at least during school. And I'd like to have Bella on her path to get to college with scholarships and all set and everything.
Okay.
If I have one or two or five kids of my own by then, who knows? Uh, just help them go. And basically, by then, I also will be hopefully very skinny, hopefully fit. I don't want to say very skinny because I never want to be very skinny. That seems boring. But I want to be fit. My surgery will have been 10 years past then, and hopefully I can keep it all off and start working out and maybe start looking like John Cena a little bit. Who knows?
Oh, John Cena. No, no. John Cena with a beard would be weird. You
All
stay
right,
looking the way you do. That's
all
not
right, let's go Hunter Hearst Helmsley then.
Triple H. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's better in terms of the look. Just for
He
that.
pulls off the beard. He pulls off the beard, and I got the scotch. So
All right. So we now, quick question: Are you the? I mean, obviously, you plan. You kind of got an idea of what you want to do in terms of your career and such. Do you plan out a year, 5, 6, 7 years? Is that something you've ever done?
I have tried and tried and tried over and over again, but
Mhm.
my dad always said to me, and this is why he was a good dad. This right here sums it up. My whole life, he always said to me, I'm blah, blah, blah years old. He would say it through the year, so it would always change the number. But I'm this many years old, and I still don't know what I want to do with my life. It's okay if you don't.
That's good. That's good. I know that exact feeling. 47, I still feel like I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm gonna be. But I'm
I was
living while I'm trying to figure out what my life will be, I think.
I was going to be a stand-up comedian. This is starting from youngest age to oldest age. Stand-up
Right.
comedian, chef, restaurant owner slash chef, teacher in high school or college, and then for after that one failed, I basically just never knew. I never could. I had thousands of ideas. Podcaster came up always, and it always was an idea since I got into podcast like 5, 6 years ago. But between those two, it was a blank slate of basically just surviving and working, and not even really thinking about the future because sometimes I didn't think I'd have one.
And there you go. So you didn't think. So you talked about growing up and you just mentioned something. I just kind of want to delve into that. Why did you think you weren't going to have a future?
Because basically my life got into the pattern of just working at whatever job I can get. That I mean, I always had decent jobs. I always got lucky and found good places to work that paid better than a lot of people made. I can talk my way into any door and I can talk my way out of any trouble. That's always been part of my trouble in life is I can talk my way in and out of anything. And that's where you get into trouble because you think you're invincible. And it takes you a long time to realize you're not invincible anymore. You say the wrong thing to the wrong person and those doors start shutting. And as you well know from me, my mouth gets me into trouble. So that's just where life ended up and just the pattern of that happening with jobs, getting good at jobs, them loving me, my bosses being happy, and I talk to the wrong person the wrong way, and I'm out the door as fast as I can get out the door. And between that and just gold digging girls trying to date me or drug addict girls trying to date me, like because I couldn't get anybody decent, at least in my mind, or anybody that I could get to a decent point in my mind. Like that pattern just made my life seem like it was just gonna be work, smoke some weed, go to sleep, repeat.
Okay. All right. So my last question, and this is, I think, a universal issue for men. But I ask every one of the guests if we can take away the titles that are given to us. So forget being dad or stepdad or husband or employee or best friend or neighbor or anything. When you take all of those titles, all of those shackles off of you, and it is just you, who are you?
I mean, it's hard not to think of that freaking song going in my head right now, but I mean, a lover, a smoker, a midnight toker. Oh, the Joker. Yeah, that's what it's called. But I am literally just a simple man trying to make it in what I mean, maybe not the hardest time to live ever, but definitely not one of the easiest times to live ever. I wish was my age now in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s even. I mean, yeah, my age now because I would have been too old for Vietnam, but the 60s, but I mean,
Mm.
because I ain't no soldier, I never could be. But I mean, I just I am a survivor. I do what I need to do to survive. Yes, my life hasn't been as bad as many people in this world. My life has not been as bad as a lot of people, and I've always recognized that, and I've always been appreciative of my life. I never tried to say I had a bad life, but it could have been better, and so I consider myself a survivor. I always consider myself a lucky person. I'm just a lucky man who, whenever I got down and out and hard, I always found some way to get through with luck, literally. Something would fall into my lap, a relative would fall in my lap and help me. I'd move out to a different state and just get lucky there and find my way. You just a lucky survivor. That's basically the best way to put it.
Lucky survivor. I like that term. I like lucky survivor. Okay. All right. So we've kind of completed the prize. The I is what that last question referenced. So when we get to your I, when you realize that you're a lucky survivor, that everything that you've lived, all these experiences kind of molded you into the person that you are. And to a degree, the person that you're going to raise your children to be. Not entirely lucky, but definitely somebody who can handle life, letting them know their life isn't the simplest thing. It's not always fun, but you got to learn how to handle it. If you could talk to you, young Jeremy Bryant,
Oh
if
God.
you could talk to Jeremy Bryant, who was, let's talk to Jeremy Bryant at the age of 14, what would you tell
Go to the gym, you fat fuck.
him?
But I mean, no, I would just tell him, like, I mean, 14-year-old Jeremy was getting into Cradle of Filth and other satanic metal and was starting to get an Insane Clown Posse, but was nowhere fully into it until years and years later in college. But I mean, he was just starting to explore other paths to try to find people like him. And I would just tell him it gets better. You're going to do better in 10, 20, in 20 years, you'll be extremely happy, but in 10 years, it'll get a little better. At least you could drink then legally.
All right. Thank you very much for answering these questions and kind of following along on this mantra called P.R.I.Z.E. So, how do I know you, Jeremy?
We are co-founder slash co-host of the pod. I mean, no, actually, we're not really hosts, but actually, we will be co-hosts soon of the podcast, Bracket Bastards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have 2 weeks of hosting coming up, and then I have 2 weeks of hosting coming up, and I keep throwing Freddie more ideas for me hosting, even though I think he's getting mad about that. But,
Mm-hmm.
but what can I say? I'm a zealous, anxious person, and I like to put myself out there. But,
That's good. That's good. That's good.
but we are on Bracket Bastards, a hilarious podcast that I always want to be on a podcast. And when I happened to see a post in one of my favorite groups, Bracketology on Facebook, that said they were looking for co-hosts for a podcast or co-podcasters, whatever you want to call it, I just said, you know what? Put yourself out there. You've been wanting to do this for a long time, and there's been other voice acting like posts you've seen to do voice acting and whatnot, and you wanted to get out there because you think you can do it and you can do weird voices sometimes, but let's do it. Let's put ourselves out there. And for months, I was the only person that answered his ad.
That's
And
not even true. I answered him pretty early, and he put a group together, and then I saw look he was about to schedule something, and I'm like, "Hey, you said you were going to contact me," and then I had to contact him again and be like, "Hey, I want to do this." And he's like, "Oh, I lost your info." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "All right, well, you got me back, but you
actually,
probably were first. Maybe I was second, and maybe you
oh,
forgot
I don't
about
know. I
me."
mean, I think I answered back like within an hour of him posting it because I just
Oh,
saw it on
then
my
you definitely were the first one.
because like I literally would sit like at nights at my mom's. I lived in my mom's condo back then. I used to literally just sit in my bed at night, like after I smoked, just watching random cartoons and scrolling through my news feed on Facebook constantly, or just playing games on my phone. And I saw that, and I just responded back to him within like an hour or two of him posting it. And he did say eventually, I think, to me that like he had one other person that was involved that like he thinks would be a good fit, and that like they do podcasts already,
Mm-hmm.
and that he's that they're in the wings. So,
Okay.
but I think he did say it to me a couple of times, but then like it just went like a month without hearing from him, and like
Right.
finally he just like I said like every month or so I'd be like, hey, what's going on with that?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally back in what November, December, we finally just decided he finally just started it up, and it became instant. Like we all just clicked and it worked.
It's been fun. I think I've always wanted to do kind of a just pop culture esque type of thing. I mean, I do one with the wife, and that's more kind of relationship type stuff, but she's not the pop culture kind of. I'm older than her, so it's the same kind of dynamic that I have with you guys because I'm older than all of you guys. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. But I could talk about movies and music and randomness all the time, and we have a ball doing it. So I'm glad that once a week we get to talk some real shenanigans, and we just happen to be recording it while we do it.
I
So
I tell my girlfriend every week, like when she complains about me, like when she gets in a bad mood and starts complaining about me doing it, I'm like, it's the most fun I have out of my week. Like, let me have it. And like, of course she does, because I mean, she's not gonna say no.
that's
But
cool.
I mean, I threw out one podcast idea in the recording tonight. I threw out another
Right.
one in chat tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I have ideas. I just, as always, starting something is so freaking hard to do from scratch.
I
And there's
agree.
so much competition out there now for like
Right.
every category that like I had to like combine a bunch of different ones I like and do it in different format than they do it just to like even think it'll ever work.
Yep, we
Because
got to find something unique. That's the key. We got to find something that nobody else has done, or maybe something that somebody's doing. We just got to do it better. So we
which
got to
is
find.
almost impossible, as I like to call you, my Mark Bernard and my Kevin Smith. But and we kind of do fit that mantra perfectly. But I mean, who knows? There's possibilities for everything.
Okay.
I reached out to them trying to get them to be on our show already.
I
So
saw that. That would have been. I mean, that was that would have been a miracle. But that would have been cool if we had gotten them. I would love to talk to Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith. That would have been
oh,
amazing. Oh,
his movies made my teenage years and turned me into partly who I am.
I mean, I grew up in Long Island, went to college in upstate New York, and somebody there introduced me to Clerks. And from then on in, I'm like, this is amazing. It's just Jay and Silent Bob. It's all this stuff. He's probably my favorite director. I
Oh,
love him in dialogue. He's amazing. Like I've kind of always fancied myself a writer. And I'm like, I want to be able to write like that. The conversations of his are fun and they're believable to me.
oh,
And
they are
like,
100%.
yeah, mm-hmm,
I mean, that's what he tried to do. That's what he was trying to do, and he literally just did it perfectly. And like
yeah.
nothing else mattered after that. Like I didn't get introduced to him till like 2001, 2002. But I mean, my cousin showed me James Bond Boss Strike Back when he probably shouldn't have been, because I was like in sixth, seventh grade. But and it comes on the screen, and Jay starts his rap, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be fun. But I mean, my cousin, he opened up a world for me with that, and that definitely influences who I am today. I mean, I kind of fell out of viewing him and completely like forgetting about him for a while until I got into podcasts, and that's one of the first podcasts I saw is Batman on Batman, and that just made me click, and I was just like, I like these two guys talking. I could listen to this for 3 hours and not get tired of it.
I hear you. And I probably would, but I got this family and these kids who expect attention. So I certainly can't do that. But it's when I get to listen to it, I appreciate it. He kind of has a life that if I could kind of pick one, he's doing what he loves.
Plus, he's a
Just
fat guy who got a hot girl. I had to appreciate that always.
damn right. You appreciate that no matter what. And on that note, I want to say thank you, Jeremy, for jumping on. And as everybody knows who listens, I love quotes. So I'm going to end with this one. And this is, I think, a little representative of you, but you tell me what you think. The quote is, live your life in such a way that you neither hide nor have a wish to display your life to people. That is Leo Tolstoy.
I would presume some Tolstoy.
Mm-hmm.
Russians had a unique way of looking at life always.
Mm-hmm. In other words, this is who I am. I'm not showing you, but this is just who I am, and like it or not. And I like that. And I kind of feel like that's you in a nutshell.
Oh, I said that. I would say that fits me to a freaking dime.
Right. So I did pretty good. All right.
You cracked the
Again,
enigma that is Jeremy Bryant.
Jeremy Bryant. Thanks for joining me on the Men of the Prize podcast, where your inner monologue is revealed. Have a good night.